Welcome to Outrage Science Bites, where we explore the science behind outrage, political polarization, and the ways modern media is fueling division, all in bite-sized episodes. I'm your host, David Beckmeyer, and today's episode is part of our The Role of Media in Social Media series, and we're diving into a topic that feels more relevant every day: digital detox, reclaiming mental health in the age of outrage. We're constantly plugged in, exposed to endless streams of news and outrage-inducing media. But what is all this doing to our mental health? How can we take a step back, reclaim our peace, and protect our well-being? I'll be sharing insights from several experts to help answer those questions. First, we have Julie Rose, an award-winning journalist who sheds light on the reality of our hyper-connected world. We're never truly uninformed anymore. Whether we like it or not, information flows to us continuously, often without our permission. But as Julie points out, passively consuming this deluge of news can have its risks.
It's just flowing over you. You think you're informed on it. Like, everybody thinks they know what's going on in the world because it's impossible unless you're literally someplace without any phone access and isolated by yourself for an extended period of time. You can't not know what's going on in the world. But when you're passively consuming, you're really not making any intentional effort. You're just sort of like, it's flowing over you in social media. People are talking about it. You're hearing it as you passing. And that's actually really risky. That's part of what fuels the reason people are so bugged by the news, because they're allowing themselves to be yanked around by the algorithms that are intentionally trying to upset them.
It's crucial to be intentional about what we consume. Simply letting the news wash over us isn't neutral. It has effects on our mood, our thoughts, and our stress levels. This is a key part of why digital detox can be so powerful. It puts us back in control. Now let's hear from social psychologist Kurt Gray, who takes a slightly different approach, focusing on how we can better manage our relationship with social media. He emphasizes that it's not just about if we use social media, but when and how. Kurt suggests that timing matters when it comes to our emotional responses to what we see online.
I think you can do things like use social media in a way that's not going to make you so afraid. And that means selecting the times and places you use it so that you're less likely to get upset. And so, for example, right, there's a reason you don't have arguments with your spouse late at night. So likewise with social media, you had a long day and you're stressed and you just want to relax and rewind, and then you are sitting in bed, which, by the way, is supposed to be the safest place in your home, right? It should be something safe, and then you open your phone and you're terrible things happening, the world's ending, right? Something's coming for your children. Now there's no way you can get away from it, right? And that's going to make you upset. And if you don't send a frenzied tweet now, you're going to send one tomorrow once you process it. So I think select the times that you're using social media to be less afraid.
By setting clear boundaries around when and where we engage with social media, we can reduce the anxiety it often triggers and avoid impulsive reactions to outrageous content. Next, let's hear from neuroscientist Alex Korb. He explains that when we're stressed, our brains are often too overwhelmed to think abstractly. So rather than trying to think our way out of stress or outrage, Alex suggests simple, actionable steps to calm our systems. Things like getting enough sleep, sunlight, or exercise. These small steps can be powerful, even though they sometimes sound too simple to be effective.
And it's easier often to control your actions than it is to notice your thoughts and argue with your thoughts. You could do it in sort of a totally mental way. It's just that that's more abstract. And when you're really stressed out, the abstract thinking parts of your brain are being overwhelmed. And so it's just easier sometimes to focus on specific actions like that, like taking a deep breath, or just go to sleep on time tonight, or get some sunlight, or get some exercise, or just hang out with your friends. And just there are general simple things that help reduce the reactivity of our stress response they're very easy to dismiss by smart, goal-oriented people as oh, but that's just dumb. And it's
that's that new age nonsense.
No. Right, exactly. That's that new age nonsense. And that's why I think it's so crucial to understand the brain. It's no, you idiot. I mean, I'm talking to myself
Right,
here.
right.
I've like, oh, I just need to figure this out. I was like, no, you need to stop trying to think your way through everything. And like, sometimes it's just a dumb, like, you need to eat food. Like those Snickers commercials where like, you get hangry and someone's like, all right, sometimes the answer is dumb and stupid. Like you don't need to figure out your bigger picture. You just need to eat a Snickers bar
Right.
and like get your blood sugar up and like make sure that you're getting enough sleep and getting enough physical activity.
Managing stress isn't always about having the perfect mindset. It's about controlling what we can. Deep breaths, a good night's sleep, or a walk in the sun might seem minor, but these can be real antidotes to the constant outrage that media often feeds us. Sometimes the answer is surprisingly simple. Finally, Yevgeny Simkin provides a compelling argument for stepping away from social media altogether. He criticizes the way news organizations have started to rely on outrageous content from platforms like Twitter, blurring the line between real journalism and social media noise. Yevgeny speaks from personal experience about how freeing it can be to leave social media behind.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what some person on Twitter said. Like, that's not newsworthy. And elevating it because they have nothing else to talk about. And because of course, it's salacious and it's exciting and it's jarring and it's outrageous and that, but finding something outrageous on Twitter takes 10 seconds, right? And if you're gonna monetize that by publishing it in some more established news medium, whatever it is, that should be embarrassing to them, like as an organization, whoever they are, right? Whatever publication goes and sources some nonsense from Twitter, which some person with 8 followers said, like that should be like they should be humiliated for doing that, because that's not journalism, right? Like that's nonsense. So yes, my advice to leave social media stands, and I have failed entirely in convincing anyone to follow it. But I can say from personal experience, having left Facebook, 10 years ago, and having now left Twitter more or less entirely over the last 6 months, it makes for a much better life. And you realize that you're not missing anything. Everything you need to know, you find in other ways. Yes, my recommendation is leave fast, go do something else, go for a walk.
Leaving social media entirely, while perhaps not for everyone, doesn't mean you'll miss out on important news. You can still stay informed without constantly being bombarded by sensational or negative content. Plus, the mental clarity you gain might be well worth it. So what can we take away from this episode? Well, digital detox isn't just about deleting apps. It's about protecting our mental space, setting boundaries, and being more mindful about what we expose ourselves to. Social media gives us a skewed perception of the world, where extreme voices dominate. Tuning back into the real world can offset that misperception. As Julie Rose mentioned, passively consuming social media can be risky. Kurt Gray's advice on timing our social media use can help us reduce fear and anxiety. And Alex Korb reminds us that simple actions like getting more sleep or going for a walk can make a real difference. And for those ready to take it a step further, Yevgeny Simkin shows us life goes on even after stepping away from social media altogether. Thank you for joining me today on Outrage Science Bites. Stay tuned for more episodes in our series on media and social media. If you enjoyed this episode, you may want to check out the long-form Outrage Overload podcast. Visit outrageoverload.net for past episodes, links, and contact information. And maybe take a break from social media after you do. Tune in tomorrow for another episode.